Hi, I'm Jen Craig with Choose Joyful Health, and today I'm here with Katherine Spinks of Fruition Nutrition. Katherine's a registered dietitian and a good friend, and she's agreed to talk with us today about probiotics. These are the fermented foods that are being touted as these superfoods. So we're going to find out what they are and why they're good for us. But before we do that, I'd love to just thank you, Katherine, for your time and your friendship and your professional friendship as well. And I wanted to just say that I really appreciate that you bring to the table the science of nutrition, but also you care about us patients and you help us use the science in a real practical way. I'm just really grateful for that in you, so thank you.
You're welcome, and I always look forward to doing these things with you, Jen.
Yeah, and so I know you shared with me that probiotics is one of your, or gut health is one of your passions. So tell us why it's so important and what you're most excited about learning with it.
So through medical nutrition and just through the years of working with individual clients, it just always comes back to if their gut's not healthy, then they aren't healthy. If the gut's inflamed, then you've got skin inflammation, you've got unhappy people, you've got digestive issues, foggy thinking, just a number of different symptoms come along with it. And so over the years, finding a way to work with each individual and to improve gut health has just made a lot of difference in their health in general.
So in other words, what I'm hearing you say is they might not come in and say, my gut's not healthy. They might come in and say, I've got this rash that doesn't go away, or my energy's low, or I'm not sleeping well, or I don't feel well in some other way, and they don't even know that that's the root cause.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think we can live with a certain symptom for so long that it becomes the new normal. And I find that a lot with individuals.
What are some of the symptoms that people feel when they are not healthy in their gut?
So bloating is one, constipation, diarrhea, indigestion, belching, a lot of belching, and decreased energy, foggy thinking, interrupted sleep.
So in other words,
the list goes on and
there's
on.
some obvious ones where you think, okay, my digestion's off, it's really clear. But then there's also some symptoms that are maybe not as clearly linked in the person's mind, but it might be coming from the gut.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And for women, it has to do with the reproductive system and yeast infections, UTIs, itchy skin, itchy scalp.
Interesting. And before we went on camera, you said something that really was fascinating to me about mood and brain as well, like brain things. You mentioned the foggy thinking, but tell me about how mood is related to the gut.
So within the gut is where most of the serotonin or the feel-good neurotransmitter is made. And so if our guts are unhealthy, inflamed, and not working well, then the production of the serotonin and thus melatonin is not in a good place as well.
Wow.
So you have depression or sadness. Sometimes it's sublying depression, not necessarily clinical depression, but just not feeling yourself. Interrupted sleep, which affects our energy levels, of course, as well.
And so this, go back to the serotonin. So the serotonin, you hear about serotonin medicine, uptake inhibitors or whatever they're called. That's a medicine prescribed for depression usually, but it might be that the serotonin is either not being produced enough in the gut or not coming out of the gut to go into the rest of the body in the correct way.
Exactly.
Wow.
So if the gut's not working well, then the production itself can be off.
The phrase is coming to my mind, like, when mama's happy, the whole family's happy. I'm almost thinking when the gut's happy, the whole body's happy, something like that. And then melatonin, we know, is the hormone that helps us sleep, right? It's triggered when it's dark out. So even if we're doing all the right things with getting our phone off and not looking at email at night, not getting mentally stimulated or trying to do calm things and do all our sleep hygiene, if the gut's not healthy, the serotonin's not being produced or distributed well, it's not communicating with the melatonin. It's like they work together.
Exactly.
I never even knew that. That's fascinating. Well, that's really helpful. So really, comes down to it affects everything.
It does.
The
It does.
the gut health. So, what are some of the reasons? Well, maybe we could first address like what's happened that we're not healthy in the gut. What's happening in the modern diet, or what's happening with stress? What are the causes that we might not have a healthy gut? And then, if you want to do it at the same time, what can we do about it?
Right. So I think there's a variety of reasons that there's such unhealthy guts within our culture now, and some of it is diet related.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're eating a lot of sugar, which throws off the gut in itself. High stress, a lot of processed food, and then not getting the good things in. So a lot of times and this is what I find a lot with my work with clients is it's not all about taking everything bad out as much as it is about putting the really good things back in. And I think we're missing a lot of the really good things. Secondly, I see stress affecting our health more than ever. So remembering that the body doesn't
We need
decipher.
to breathe.
That's right. The body doesn't decipher between stressors. Emotional stress, dietary stress, or going long periods of time without eating, underlying inflammation, lack of sleep, all trigger a stress response in the body. And over time, that affects our gut.
Right. Right. So it's all linked together, which is really what you're working on in your business. And one of the things I think might be helpful to talk about too is the type of nutritional services you provide and counseling you provide. You had mentioned earlier that they're called functional. So talk about what functional nutrition is and what you do.
So I think functional nutrition is really a buzzword right now, and I want to make sure that there's an understanding that from my standpoint in the medical nutrition that it's still grounded in clinical evidence, that it's not just the next wonderful supplement that's on the market, that it's really looking at the clinical evidence behind the different types of illnesses and how can we look deeper to see where this started with the individual client. So when I see someone for the first time, it's not just about what's bothering you today. It's about what are your 3 areas that are bothering you the most about your health. And tell me about your life over the last 5 years, because it's generally speaking, it's the last 5 to 10 years that gets you to the place where we are right now.
Wow.
There's generally a tipping point somewhere in there that the body just gets to a place that things go awry, but it's generally a trend over the 5 to 10 years. High stress, lots of changes, change in diet, a certain illness that really disrupted the gut, long-term antibiotic use, things like that. So it's really looking at what got you to where you are right now and what can we do about it.
God, I love that perspective. And just as you were talking, I was thinking that it's not very many places in medical or even the holistic health world that people are asking you about the last 5 to 10 years of your life. I think that's really deep. I mean, it's important because the body's so resilient and so adaptable that you're right. It takes a long time for the body to get out of whack. Normally it can heal itself with the right tools. And so if it's gotten to a point, we need to look long term at what had gone wrong. Yeah.
And a lot of times with clients, as you begin to ask them about the last 5 to 10 years of their life, it's almost like a light bulb goes off of, wow, I really have had a lot of stress, a lot of changes. I have been on a lot of medicines for getting infections. My body has been trending in a negative way for a while. No wonder I feel like this, rather than thinking, I just need to suck it up and feel better.
Right.
I should still be able to press through this, because lots of times we end up where we are because we tried to press through too hard anyway. So it's validating.
Yeah.
They come in and they go, wow, I see now why I don't feel well.
It sounds like it's real collaborative too.
Yes.
It's not like they come to you and I have this problem and I need a Band-Aid.
Right.
You're not going to just put the Band-Aid on. You're really looking to say, what can we do? How to get here long term, and what can we do short term, mid term, and long term to send you on the right path?
It's a process.
Yeah.
But as they incrementally begin to feel better, then they're embracing their health more. and the initiatives
That's
to get
wonderful.
to a better place.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about probiotics. Now we have that big picture of functional nutrition as well, and the gut health is one piece of that. So, what are some of the things that people can do? Let's say maybe just an average person who's not having some of these symptoms. What are some of the things that maybe everyone should be doing with probiotics and with fermented foods to make sure that we maintain our health and don't get into that place?
Well, first of all, I can't ignore the fact that really when it comes down to our health and our gut health, that a plant-based diet is still what we need to focus on. That there's all the clinical evidence goes back to the plant-based diets are really good for the gut. And so, yes, getting your vegetables and your fruits in, of course, on a daily basis, but then focusing on the probiotics and the prebiotics are very important as well.
So what is a probiotic?
So a probiotic and prebiotics are actually substances that have shown to be, proven to be beneficial to the host.
Okay. And so host means the human?
Right.
Sounds kind of like an odd term, yeah.
Or a host could be an animal, or it can be
okay.
anything, but it has to be beneficial in order to do that.
And beneficial specifically to the bacteria, or beneficial? It's kind of a vague description, isn't it?
Well, it's to the bacteria, to the gut, which is overall better for the person.
Okay.
Or the host.
So looking at and now what's the difference between probiotic and prebiotic?
So the probiotics are the live microorganisms, and they actually make it to the lower gut.
Like little bugs.
That's what it sounds like,
right? I mean, but they are, right?
Yeah,
like minuscule bugs.
They're bacteria.
Yeah, minuscule bacteria. These are good bacteria.
Right. And they have different shapes, and some of the names are based on the shapes.
Okay.
Alpha, betas.
Yeah, you see those long names. I never knew what they were. So those are the good bacteria. They're coming in. That's the probiotic, and that can be in food form or a supplement form.
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
And then the prebiotic.
Prebiotics are actually resistant starches that get to the lower gut and actually feed the good bacteria.
So resistant starch, what are they resistant to?
Digestion. So they make it through the digestive system. They go through the bile salts and the digestive enzymes, and they're not changed.
They're tough.
Yeah, they're tough.
So is that like insoluble fiber?
Yes, they definitely have some resistant starches in them. Yeah.
So we might be getting really deep into stuff, but I'm asking a lot of questions because I know some people who are listening won't know what all those terms are, because I didn't until I learned about them. So insoluble fiber goes through the digestive tract, less digested, right? It's like the skin of the vegetable or the skin of the fruit.
Right.
And the soluble would be more like oatmeal or the inside of an apple.
And the legumes, the beans and peas.
Those are soluble. So what would be an example of a prebiotic food? So
prebiotics, so Jerusalem artichoke is one that you hear about, which is really not an artichoke at all. It's a sunchoke. And
but see, that's not something I see in the grocery store.
No, you don't.
You know, I mean, I didn't grow up eating, I never even heard of an artichoke until I was later, I didn't grow up seeing that around here.
So chicory, and again, it's not something that you use, but raw forms of onions and garlic and leeks.
Oh, that is as well. That's way more common.
Yes.
We eat tons of onion and garlic, yeah. Okay.
And asparagus too, but you have to eat it raw, which is,
Oof.
But they're great fermented, right?
Oh, good to know. And does that count as a prebiotic and a probiotic?
Right.
Oh, that's good to know. Well, wow, we could go in so deep into this. And then the fermented foods are like sauerkraut, yogurt, things like that the average person can find at the grocery store.
Right.
Yeah, good. Well, I feel like we could go into so much more detail, but we want to keep our video short and sweet for today. So before we wrap up, maybe you could tell people how they can find you, who would benefit from your services, and what you can help them with.
So the website is www.fruitionyournutrition.net, and the types of patients I have currently range from all ages, 14 to 80. And I work a lot with gut health. I work a lot with food sensitivities. I also work a lot with eating disorders and the healing that goes on with recovery there and their gut. And so, along with degenerative diseases, which are all diet related as well.
Do you only see people in person, or do you do any remote coaching of people with Skype or anything like that?
I like to see people for the assessment in person if possible, and then I do other appointments can be done by phone, by Skype.
Okay. And if this video ends up far and wide, which it may, we need to say that we're in Greenville, South Carolina, and also in Clemson, South Carolina. So those are where just in case it ends up somewhere far away, which it could.
Yeah.
And then for more information on Choose Joyful Health, we also at Choose Joyful Health tend to look at the body holistically, look at lifestyle holistically, and offer some tips and tools for healthy living. You can find those at choosejoyfulhealth.com. And we're just super glad we could be together today and learn about this good stuff.
It's fun.
Yeah, thank you.